Okay, there we go. So, let your eyes close. Just become present in your body. Become aware of the feeling of sitting here. Become aware of the peacefulness that is already present. There's peacefulness in this room. There's peacefulness in your body. And there can be peacefulness in your mind by simply letting it rest. And with a peacefulness and a sense of awareness, you can maybe become aware of any of the things that you're carrying with you tonight mentally that might be helpful to put down for a period of time. Worries about the world or thoughts about what's going on in your life. All important things, but it's important to be able to let go for just a while. Allow that peacefulness to completely saturate your being. So with that, I'll sound the bell. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Namaskar. Welcome, everyone. Good to have everybody here on Valentine's evening. So we'll cultivate a little love tonight. But we'll get ready for our meditation. So if you want to change positions, lay down.
I might end up laying down.
Yeah.
You tried something new?
Yeah, sitting up right
Does that chalk?
Actually, it's kind of like right at the nice part of my neck.
Kind of right
It
there,
kind
huh?
of, you know,
That's great.
supports it a little bit.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, it's very helpful to just try and remove the conflict from the body. And when I talk about, kind of holding still through periods of discomfort and pain, that's in a retreat setting, and so that might be a place where that's a little easier to work with. Here, I think it's helpful for our meditation to just try and be comfortable in your body so that it doesn't turn into an endurance contest or trying to tough it out until the end. But it's better to make adjustments as you need to so that you're able to continue with the meditation all the way through. And let your mind be at ease. Let your body be at ease. Let your eyes close. And however you're sitting or laying, your back, your spine is straight. Let your body be relatively symmetrical, so both sides are doing about the same thing. Let the eyes close. Let the breath be natural. And I'll sound the bell, and then I'll start to guide us through the meditation. Follow the sound of the bell. Follow it as it fades into silence. And let that silence be an invitation to turn your senses inward. And as you do that, as you turn your senses inward, you find that it's a very pleasant experience. It's a pleasant experience to let go of one of the habits of the mind, which is to be projected outward, and to be engaged in the world around us. There are times when that is useful, but during meditation it is useful to turn the senses inward. And a good way to do that is to begin by just feeling the sense of presence you have in your own body. Whether you're sitting or laying, there is a feeling of occupying this body, of being here in the present moment. So just establish that feeling of presence, maintaining the senses being turned inward. And with that sense of inward awareness, we'll bring that awareness up to the top of the head, into the area of the scalp. And for a few moments, just open up your awareness to any physical sensations in your scalp. And see what you notice. You might notice temperature sensations. May feel warm or cool to you, or neither warm nor cool. We sometimes sense that temperature through the scalp. Sometimes you'll become aware of air movement in the room. You'll feel that. Feel the air moving across the skin of your scalp or across your hair. Sometimes there are sensations on the surface of the skin, and those can be things like tickles or itches. Sometimes you might notice a little pulsation, just sort of the energy of life in the skin of the scalp. And if your head is making contact with the surface, you might notice that sensation of contact. So this is an opening of awareness to the naturally occurring sensations in the body and right now in the scalp. And as you observe those, see if you notice any tension present in your scalp. And you might notice that, just a little muscular tension somewhere in the scalp. If you notice that, just release. Let that tension go. Just allow it to leave the body. Continue to observe the sensations without interruption. Just continue to observe. And now from the scalp, we'll move the awareness downward into the forehead. Let it pass through the temples. Let it move down through the eyebrows and into the eyes. And again, just open up awareness to the physical sensations in these parts of the body. Just focusing here, forehead, temples, eyebrows, eyes. Open up to the sensations of temperature and air movement, sensations on the surface of the skin. And as you open up to these sensations, try to let the actual experience be the most important thing. Don't worry about using words subvocally to describe the sensations to yourself. Just open up to the physical sensation and just experience it. And you may notice tension in some of these areas. In the forehead, the brow might be furrowed. Sometimes there's tightness in the temples. Or there can be, the eyebrows might be raised a bit or crinkled. Sometimes the eyes are squinted ever so slightly. So noticing tension in any of these areas, again, just allow that tension to leave the body. And you find that it happens really quite naturally then. Just notice the tension, no big deal. Don't need to push it out. Just allow it to leave the body. Allow it to flow out. Continue to observe the sensations. Maintain that continuity of awareness at all times. And then from the temples, you can begin to move the awareness downward into the ears. And really focus on the sensation of the movement of awareness. You find that you can often feel that flow of awareness as it moves from one part of the body to the next. And to observe that as part of the continuity of awareness. And then with awareness in the ears, you can move it forward. Feel it as it moves into the face, as it passes through the cheekbones. And then from the eyes, let the awareness move downward through the nose. Feel it as it passes through the nose and through the mouth, through the lips and chin. Open up to the sensations in all of these areas, the ears, the face, through the nose and mouth. Nothing that you are required to feel in any of these areas. You're simply opening the awareness to whatever is there. And again, any tension you discover, let it just be an automatic releasing. Noticing tension, tension is released. Allowing the tension to leave the body. Check in some of the areas in the face where you might hold tension. The jaws, oftentimes the teeth are clenched a little. Allow the jaws to relax. Often the lips are pursed. Let the lips relax and the mouth. Just let the tongue gently touch the back of the top teeth and the roof of the mouth. Let the muscles of the face release. Continue to observe. And then from the chin, feel as the awareness begins to flow downward into the neck. Feel it as it moves through the front of the neck, through the throat. And feel that awareness moving into the sides of the neck. And then feel as the awareness flows around into the back part of the neck. And again, just open up to sensation, temperature, air movement, contact, sensations on the surface of the skin. Let the muscles of the neck relax. And allow the awareness to flow from the neck downward into the shoulders. Begin to observe the different sensations in the shoulders. And in the shoulders you might notice contact between the shoulders and the chair or the cushion. You might notice the feeling of contact between your skin and your clothing. So just observe these sensations. Allow the shoulders to drop if they're shrugged. Let them relax. Just feel the body releasing. Allow the awareness to flow from the shoulders down into the upper arms. And then begin to observe the different parts of the upper arm, starting with the biceps or the fronts of the upper arm. Feel as the awareness moves to the inside part of the upper arms, from the underarm all the way down to the elbow joint. And then move to the backs or the triceps. Each of these places we move the awareness through, just notice the sensations and let the tension go. Continue observing. Move the awareness to the outside part of the upper arms. And then from here, we'll feel the flow of awareness as it moves through the elbow joints. Feel that movement and feel as the awareness moves into the forearms. Starts to move downward through the arms. Just observe the sensations. Let go of any muscular tension you find. Continue to move the awareness downward through the wrists. Just feel that flow from the wrists down into the hands. Feel the heels of the hands and the palms. You notice that everywhere you guide the awareness, there are new sensations to observe. Bring the awareness to the top part of the hands. Bring the awareness into the fingers, the thumbs, the fingers. Let it move down into the fingernails. Spend a few moments just observing the fingernails. See if there's any sensations that you can detect there. Sometimes there's just a little pulsation or vibration. Observe. And then from the tips of the fingers, we'll maintain continuity of awareness. We'll bring the awareness to the top of the chest. And just let the awareness move across the collarbones. And then feel the flow downward through the chest. Just feel it as it goes through. Let go of tension as it moves. Let the awareness move all the way down to the base of the sternum. And then feel it move outward through the rib cage. Stay attentive to the sensations as you move. Continue to release the tension. You can bring the awareness to the underarms and observe as the awareness flows down through the sides of your body. Move all the way down to the waist. And just stay with the sensations, let the tension go. And from the waist, bring the awareness forward into the belly. And here, with your awareness in the belly, observe the sensations of rising and falling. The belly rises with the in-breath, falls with the out-breath. There's a feeling of expansion and contraction. You may notice the feeling of the skin of your belly touching the fabric of your clothing. And let any tension in the belly go. Just let it relax fully. Let the tension leave your body. Continue to observe. And then from the belly, we'll maintain that continuity of awareness, and we'll bring the awareness around to the top of the back. We'll start at the base of the neck. Let that awareness flow down through the upper third of the back. Feel it moving through the shoulder blades. And observe the sensations. Here there might be contact sensations where your shoulders or the upper part of your back touch the chair or the cushion. Observe as the awareness flows downward through the middle part of the back now. Staying attentively aware of the sensations. And also looking for and releasing tension. Setting it free. Let the awareness move down through the lower third of the back now. And as you move through the back, or as we move through other parts of the body during this practice, if you notice sensations of discomfort, or sometimes pain or an unpleasant sensation from fatigue in the muscles, if you notice these unpleasant sensations, sometimes there's a reaction of aversion to those unpleasant sensations. We kind of want to push them away or force them out. And these feelings of aversion can actually lead to more tension in the body, sometimes in the surrounding areas. So see if, as you're moving your awareness through, if you become aware of difficult sensations or unpleasant sensations, just become aware of the spaciousness you have, this great spaciousness in your body. All of this spaciousness for awareness to be there. You find that even with discomfort, that you can allow that all the space it needs to be in this moment. Allow your awareness to be there, and just let go of any tension around the difficult sensations. And then from the lower back, we'll move the awareness downward. Feel it as it moves down through the sit bones. Feel it as it passes through the hips and into the pelvis. Observe the sensations in these different areas. Let the tension go. Stay with the awareness as it moves down into the thighs. And we'll spend a little time just moving the awareness through the thighs, through the tops of the thighs, all of the muscles there, through the outside parts of the thighs, all the way from the tops of the thighs down to the knees. And then move again to the underside. And finally to the inside part of the thighs. From the tops all the way to the knees. And as awareness moves, just let the awareness know the sensations of the body and let the tension go anytime you notice it. Continue to move the awareness through the knees, feel it passing through. And observe as the awareness moves from the knees downward. Feel it moving through the calves. Feel it moving through the shins, the sensations and the releasing. And continue to observe, following that awareness through the ankles. Follow it as it moves down into the feet. And observe when awareness moves into the heels, the sensations there. And then moving into the soles of the feet and the balls of the feet. Bring the awareness around to the tops of the feet. And let it move down into the toes. Finally, bringing the awareness into the tips of the toes and the toenails. And see if you can detect any sensations in the toenails. Just a subtle sensation of energy or pulsation. Let tension go in the feet. And from here, we'll maintain the continuity of awareness. We'll bring it once again up to the top of the head. Return to the scalp. And this time, at your own pace, you can just begin to guide your awareness back down through your body. And try to move through each part so nothing is left out. follow the same path that we followed together. And you'll notice you can guide the awareness through and become aware of sensations while releasing tension. You can really do that quite quickly, quite easily, quite naturally as you move through the body. Become aware of any of the parts of the body where tension has reappeared or where it seems to have reaccumulated. And just noticing these as possibly areas where we habitually hold our tension. Might check with the jaws or the shoulders or the belly or sometimes the hands. Let that tension go, knowing that it often comes about as the result of stress or sometimes as a result of difficult emotions. Knowing that that causes the tension, we can let it go, further freeing ourselves, allowing the body to become more and more quiet, allowing the mind to become more and more quiet. And once you've moved through your body at least once, you can bring your awareness up to the base of your nose. Focus the awareness on the little patch of skin there beneath the nostrils and above the upper lip. And then from that little patch of skin, you can expand the awareness into the rings of the nostrils. And then from the rings of the nostrils, you can expand the awareness a bit further into the nasal passages. So now with awareness in this triangular area of the nose, just become aware of the respiration. Become aware of the movement of the breath as it passes in and out through the nose. So as you breathe in, be aware that you are breathing in. And as you breathe out, be aware that you're breathing out. Just stay with the movement of the breath. And as you observe the in-breath, try to stay with it for its full duration. From the beginning through the middle, as it slows and pauses, it becomes the out-breath. Stay with the out-breath. Follow it, stay with it softly. You'll notice as it pauses, reverses direction and becomes the next in-breath. Stay with the movement of the breath. And as you follow the movement of the breath, open up the awareness to the touch of the breath. Anywhere in this triangular area of the nose, the touch of the breath. And focusing on the touch of the breath as you breathe in, you might notice the more subtle sensations of the in-breath. The air is cooler. Sometimes the air feels a little drier. With the out-breath, the air feels a bit warmer, feels a bit more moist. Just stay with this movement of the breath and the sensations of the breath. Just remain aware. Movement of the breath, sensations of the breath. Sometimes you'll become aware of distractions as you focus on the breath. Sometimes your mind is drawn to a sound in the building or in the room. If you notice that you're distracted by a sound, you can respond by gently guiding the awareness back to the nose, returning once again to the movement of the breath. to the touch and sensations of the breath. And just let the distractions of sound go. There's no need to react. No need to react. Just return to the breath. And sometimes as you follow the breath, you can be distracted by sensations in the body. It might be a tickle or an itch somewhere, or a little fatigue. And in the same way, just see if you can bring your awareness back to the breath. Bring it back to the triangular area of the nose. Once again, just observe the movement of the breath. Breathing in, observe the in-breath. Breathing out, observe the out-breath. And sometimes you'll become aware of the mind wandering. You find that it moves away from the respiration and the mind is caught up in thoughts, imagining. If you notice this, again, just respond by gently guiding the awareness back to the triangular area of the nose and back to the breath. Refocus the awareness once again. Don't worry about the frequency of distractions. It's all a natural part of the practice. Just return again and again to the awareness of the breath. Remain focused. Return again and again. And let's share a couple of minutes of meditation in silence together, just following the breath. And in about 2 minutes, I'll sound the bell to end the meditation. And you can just gently bring yourself back to awareness of the room. Sometimes it's helpful to kind of be aware of that transition when we go from awareness turned inward to moving the awareness to kind of its default state, which is outward. Sometimes there's kind of an awareness of sort of a flood of sensory data coming in. So that can be kind of a helpful thing to observe, because that's really part of what we're practicing with, is an awareness that the mind tends to be focused out here, And that's perfectly appropriate and in many cases quite helpful. But then there are times where we can move it in here, and we get benefit from that as well. So yeah, just take a minute to get back into your body. Feel free to stretch or stand. And then if anybody's not aware, there's a water fountain in the hallway with a bottle filler and a filter, so if you need more water. And there's restrooms kind of at the corners of, just the corners of the building kind of behind me, and then the corners of the building that way. So if you need the restrooms, that's where they are. So here we are. I'll share a little verse with you. This is one that I can't find an attribution for that I think is correct. A lot of times this little selection is attributed to the Buddha, but I don't believe it's actually from an authentic source of the sutras or anything like that. But I think it's probably sort of paraphrased from some of the some of the different teachings. But I think it's just a wonderful little thing. So here it is. The thought becomes an intention. The intention manifests as an action. The action develops into habit, and habit hardens into character. Therefore, watch closely the thought and let it spring forth from love for all beings. It's a short one. I'll just read that one more time so you can take it in. The thought becomes an intention. The intention manifests as an action. The action develops into habit, and habit hardens into character. Therefore, watch closely the thought and let it spring forth from love for all beings. So that talks a little bit about what we're doing with our practice, especially at the end of meditation or at the end of the evening when we practice compassion, loving kindness, appreciative joy, and equanimity. That's really what we're doing, is cultivating those states within ourselves so that our thoughts can spring forth from love for all beings. And you find that that really does start to happen. It's very helpful. Just a little less of an edge of hostility that we sometimes carry around with us, or a little less of an edge of feeling suspicious or sort of judgmental or negative. So just having our thoughts spring forth from kind of this feeling of goodness or compassion or kindness, that's really helpful. It just softens the whole experience of life. So, yeah, it's a wonderful little thing to think about. We're going to do a few things tonight. We're going to continue talking about the Eightfold Path, which was the handout from last week. And I think, Joni, I don't know that you didn't get one. I know Judy didn't get one. I have extras too if anybody wants another one. Thanks for handing that out. So, talked about the Eightfold Path last week. Thank you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more this week. I wanted to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about our meditation postures and the positioning of the body and the hands as we do our meditation. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit tonight, since we just concluded our meditation, and talk about a few things that you might find helpful. So we'll do that. In the book, there is, starting with page 45, I get into positioning of the hands, and then I talk about the different mudras. So if you have one of the books, this is in there, beginning at page 45. In meditation, the position and placement of the hands is referred to as a mudra. And mudra is a Sanskrit word which literally translates as seal, but actually refers to the gestures made with the arms and the hands during meditation. I note that mudras are highly symbolic, and a lot of people do them, but none of them are necessary for meditation practice. You might be perfectly comfortable with your hands just sitting on your knees or on the tops of your thighs, or simply laying at the side of your body if you're laying down. Any of that is perfectly fine. The mudras are not essential to meditation practice, but they do have some symbolism that I think is important and that I think is helpful. So I want to just kind of share that a little bit. The mudra that I do most often, now sometimes when I'm teaching, I'll have my hands here on my knees, but the mudra that I use most often during meditation is what is known as the jhana mudra. And that word jhana, that word actually means meditation, or it means wisdom. And so the way we do that jhana mudra, very simple. If you're sitting in sort of a cross-legged position, or however you're sitting, the left hand simply rests on top of the feet or on top of the legs, however you happen to be sitting. So the left hand simply relaxes, and it's you have it so it's about in the center of your body. And then the right hand just rests on top of the left hand. And then the tips of the thumbs touch. So it's just a very gentle left hand, right hand, thumbs touching. That's the jhana mudra, and that is the mudra that symbolizes, or it's the seal of meditation or wisdom. So the jhana mudra is the mudra of meditation. So I will often do this one. Sometimes we'll find that it's comfortable to move the hands a little closer together and the thumbs might overlap. So any of these variations, jhana mudra. And it's probably the number one go-to that I have. There is a mudra that you'll see on the header of these handouts. The Bhumisparsha mudra is that one. Left hand is still in the lap, just like it was for the jhana mudra. Right hand kind of comes down over the right leg and touches the ground. And that is the touching the earth, or the earth witness mudra. It symbolizes enlightenment. This one is symbolic of the moment that the historical Buddha attained enlightenment. And when he did that, he moved his hand from the jhana mudra position. He moved his hand down, touched the ground with his right hand, touched the earth with his right hand, as if to sort of ask the earth to bear witness to what his experience was, but then also as a way of, from the readings that I've done of the texts, you can see that there was almost this like, wow, this is really happening. Kind of like, I'm not dreaming, I'm not dead, but I'm here. This is real. This is really happening. So it's kind of a touching of the earth, like, wow, yeah, I'm here. So the earth witness. So that just comes off of the jhana mudra. Left hand stays put, right hand touches. Another common mudra, this is more of a yoga mudra, but we see this one a lot. And this one, if you see people on the cover of yoga magazines or meditation books, a lot of times they're doing the Gyan mudra. The tips of the thumb and index finger are touching, and this one represents knowledge and expansion of knowledge. So that's the Gyan mudra. Very popular yoga mudra. There's another one that is called the Surya Ravi mudra, where the tips of the thumb and the ring finger are touching. And then typically, these kind of mudras, the individual hand mudras, oftentimes they're just laying on the knees, oftentimes palms up. So the tips of the thumbs and the ring fingers, this one represents strength, intuition, and change. Strength, intuition, and change. That's the Surya Ravi mudra. Namaskara mudra. This is one of my favorites. Everyone probably has a feel for what this one means. You see somebody do this. Sometimes it can be like a greeting, namaste or namaskar. Sometimes it can be, sort of a saying goodbye. Sometimes it could be a thank you. Sometimes it can be a recognition that there's this other living being sharing space with you. So the Namaskara mudra. This one here is, it's often used in the Thai culture as a show of respect. When someone, like if a younger person comes to the family home and there's an adult there, the younger person would do this mudra. And depending on how high they hold it is to sort of the degree of respect. So if you came in and you saw, maybe there was a monk in a temple and you came in, you'd probably have it up quite high, a little higher than the top of your head. If it was your grandma, maybe here for your parents, and then maybe here for one of your peers, So kind of this up and down as a symbol of respect. So that's the Namaskara mudra. And of course we recognize it too from Christian symbolism. Christian, Judaism, I'm not sure if Islam, if they use this particular one, but a lot of times this is the mudra of prayer too. So prayer mudra. The Buddhi mudra, it's called. This one is hard for me to do because my hands are just a little on the stiff side. But this one is the thumbs touching the pinky fingers. And this one, it represents the power of communication. Power of communication. And then one more, and I'm not doing these in any particular order, the Shuni mudra. So this would be the middle finger touching the thumbs. It represents patience and discernment. Patience and discernment. So any of these mudras, they're symbolizing something. And again, while they're not essential, I think these symbols are helpful. For me, meditation mudra is helpful. Namaskara mudra. We know what some other mudras that we use in our culture, like, if you were to shake your fist at somebody, it's kind of like, sort of a threatening thing, right? Or if you were to hold up your middle finger, that symbolizes something. We know what that is. That certainly evokes some emotion. So I think these mudras are real things, Or if you saw someone in the airport and you did this, what does that mean? It means love, means welcome. So, these are real things. So one of the things I like about mudras is that they sort of, they get us in touch with our body language, because we really are saying something a lot of the time with our body language, oftentimes unconsciously, sometimes. Have you ever been walking through a store, like a department store or a Walmart or something? You'll pass a mirror and you'll see yourself and you kind of realize you kind of look grumpy. I've noticed that in myself, and I think, well, I have no intention of looking grumpy. I'm actually in quite a good mood, but my face seems to be stuck in this sort of scowl, so I'll become aware of that. So I think mudras are just sort of a neat way of becoming aware of how you're holding your body. Something on the individual fingers. With all of these different mudras, we're using different fingers touching to the thumbs. And these are some of my handwritten notes from many years ago where I actually drew the mudras on a piece of paper, and I've made some copies of them, so they're getting pretty faint. But each of the fingers represent a certain earth element. The thumb represents fire. The pointer finger represents air. The Akash represents earth, fire. The middle finger represents space. The ring finger represents ether, the ether element, and the pinky represents water. So that's kind of how these different mudras develop their symbolism. It's kind of like combining the thumb with the other finger where these different elements are represented. So these are some of the common meditation mudras, and then it'll be helpful to talk about some of the common meditation asanas, they're called. I also go into some detail in the book on these, but as you sit more and more in meditation, you'll find that the different asanas are very helpful to know and understand. The first one is called Sukhasana, and you may, although you probably don't, but you may remember me using the word sukha. That's the word for well-being or pleasant or good. So Sukhasana, it's the pleasant pose is what this is known as. And so this is the one, if you sit down on the floor, you watch a child sit on the floor and cross their legs, a lot of times they just go into this sort of instinctively. So when I'm sitting on my cushion, I'm kind of preparing things for the talk. I usually sit like this, and then I move into this, which is the Burmese posture. So in this one, nothing is on top of, the legs and feet, they're just folded. You don't have anything on top of anything else. For me, this is the most comfortable one. This is the one that I can sit in with the least amount of discomfort, quite comfortable for long periods of time. Another mudra is to just bring the legs in a little further, take the left foot, put it up on top of the right calf and the right knee. This is the half lotus posture. And you can also reverse it so that this one here. So whichever way is more comfortable. Half lotus posture. And this is worth trying. You might find this one quite comfortable. And then the full lotus posture, which I used to do from time to time. I do it less now just as my knees have gotten a little older. They don't cooperate with me the way they used to, but in this one you just have the feet both on top of the knees. But I find that these asanas, asana means posture, these asanas, I find that with the feet up like this or folded like this, they're the most comfortable, as opposed to like this, because then you're sitting on your feet or you have weight on your feet, calves are on your feet, it's a little less comfortable. So those are some of the popular asanas in meditation. Again, it's a matter of comfort, whatever works for you. Probably the most traditional is to see that full lotus posture with someone in the Gyan mudra. But again, it's comfort, whatever works for you. And I find that just sticking with one thing is particularly helpful for me, because then I don't have to re-experience am I going to be able to sit for 20 minutes with my legs this way or that way? But with this posture, for me, the Burmese posture, I just know that works. I know that having my hands here in the Jhana Mudra just works. So that's what I stick with. So I hope that's a little bit helpful. As I say, as you sit more and more, these things start to matter a little bit more and more. So
why sit? Is that...
Well, the meditation tradition from the Buddha onward was to meditate in a sitting posture with the back straight, not rigid, but straight. So there's balance. The idea was that the energy could flow from the spine all the way, from the base of the spine, the tailbone, all the way up to the top of the head. So there's there's an uninterrupted flow of energy or awareness. And we'll actually, in about 15 minutes, we'll spend a little time doing a meditation with that, where we're going to do a little extra meditation, and we'll work with this flow of awareness. So it's particularly helpful to feel that energy flow. Now you find if you prefer to lay down while you meditate, you can also get in touch with that feeling of flow. So it's not absolutely essential. One advantage of sitting is that it's easier to stay awake if you feel dozy.
That's probably the biggest thing.
What's that?
That's probably the biggest thing. I mean just personally.
Right. Yeah. It does help. So.
But you'd also be sitting like I'm sitting.
Mhm.
I mean, you could sit like I'm sitting as opposed to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Nothing wrong with sitting in a chair. If you do sit in a chair, it helps to be doing it the way you're doing it, which is with your feet on a rolled up mat or on a cushion, just so you don't have to have your toes extended and kind of using your calf muscles. So sitting in a chair like that with your feet flat is great. And then with any of these, again, just having some symmetry and some balance to the body is helpful, so that you don't have like more weight, on the left side kind of thing, or more weight on the right side. So all pretty simple stuff, but yeah, that's a good question, Don. It just goes back to the tradition of meditation, which was always done in the sitting posture. So, and I do meditate laying down from time to time, but most of the time I do it sitting. I've just grown to prefer that over the years. So I typically just do it sitting on the floor like this, on the simple cushion. The cushion that I'm sitting on, it's pretty dense. It's filled with a few pounds of cotton, and it elevates the sit bones just slightly. So if you do sit on the floor, you'll probably find that's helpful. Get the sit bones up a little higher than your knees. And if you don't have a cushion like this, you can use a blanket, roll it up. You can use a towel. Towels work good because they're usually pretty dense. Or you can use a yoga mat like that and just fold it up a few times and sit on it. But what you'll find is that if you have your sit bones elevated a few inches, that your abdominal muscles don't have to work as hard. If you're sitting down on the floor, there's a little more abdominal engagement. So just easier to sit with the back straight and relax a little bit more. So, yeah, so I just wanted to share that and just kind of review that a little bit. It's helpful from time to time.
One question about the hands.
Yeah.
They won't choose a different one depending on what they want to practice, do they?
Yeah. If you're trying to symbolize a specific thing, yeah, you might do that. You might say, yeah, today I really want to. And here's an example of how that might tie in. When we start for the evening, we kind of talk about, maybe this is what I need to work on letting go of tonight. If I'm really caught up in things in my family, or I'm caught up in worries about this or that, we think about the things we might want to start to let go of. And we, conversely, we think of the things that we might want to start to cultivate, whether it's loving kindness or joyfulness or whatever it is. So yeah, this might be a way of saying, yeah, what I want to cultivate tonight is openness, or I want to cultivate receptivity, or I want to cultivate wisdom or strength of character, one of these things. So yeah, you could just switch the mudra and symbolize it that way. So yeah, that's actually a really good question. So yeah, you will see people do that. And again, that's more the yogic tradition, to do the different mudras like that. A little more the yogic tradition as opposed to the meditation, the strict meditation posture, which is just most awfully this one. All right.
Ken, is the yoga more of the Sanskrit, Tibetan line, or the Pali?
The yoga is more of the Sanskrit and the Hindu tradition. Tibetan is more meditation. There's kind of two different, well, there's more than two, but there's different schools. There's Mahayana and Zen, and Tibetan falls into that category. And then there's Theravadan, which is what I usually do and what I teach. So you'll find that's more Pali language and that sort of thing. But yeah, these yogic mudras are a little more Hindu, a little more Sanskrit. So yeah, good questions. There's a lot to it. I mean, as you can see, as we go, there's quite a bit there. We'll spend a few minutes on the Eightfold Path again. We have a few more things to cover on this handout, and I want to set aside about the last 15 minutes for another for another practice. Linda, one of the things that when you stepped out, and I'll just repeat this because it's going to tie into the practice that we're going to do, Don was asking about why sit during meditation. Is that, where does that come from? And so that was one of the traditions. It's always been the traditional posture of meditation was to sit on the floor, cross-legged in some way with the back straight. And the reason for that is so that energy can move up and down the spine easily. And so we can also do that laying down. You can kind of accomplish that same thing, but it can be easier to fall asleep too. So sitting, the back stays straight and we're able to move the energy up and down the spine. So I wanted to bring that up because when we get into, we're going to do another practice tonight, last few minutes, and so we're going to move some of that energy up and down the spine so you'll actually start to feel that. Not specifically chakras, although in that tradition you would pass through the chakras as you do that, but we're going to work with just more the awareness of the energy flow through there. So kind of a neat thing. So last week we started talking about the Eightfold Path, and we left off at the bottom of page 2 where we talked a little bit about the symbol, which is the Dhamma chakra, and that symbol represents the Eightfold Path. Again, it looks a little bit like a ship steering wheel, but it represents a wheel, not a steering wheel. Represents a wheel, and the eight elements of the Eightfold Path are represented by spokes in the wheel. And the symbolism of the spokes is important because what they are telling us is that for a wheel to roll properly and to carry a load, it needs to have the weight balance between all 8 of those spokes. You can't have one spoke that's strong and the opposite one being weak, or some that are over tight and the other one's loose. Ideally, you want all the spokes to be equally strong, and this enables the wheel to roll and carry the weight. So that's the symbolism of these 8 spokes on the wheel. And so they represent right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And I talk a little on page 3 about the Dhamma chakra and the symbolism of that. Some key words that I have in here that are going to be helpful tonight. One word I refer to over and over, which is Dhamma, and I'm on page 3 right now. Dhamma, that is the Pali word. Dharma is the Sanskrit word. Typically, this is the body of teachings as expounded by the Buddha. It can also mean the overarching law that supports, upholds, and maintains the order of the universe. Those are probably the 2 most common definitions that I refer to. So, teachings of the Buddha in the sutras and the law of nature. And you'll discover that law of nature working as we go through these different practices. Chaka or chakra, that's the word for wheel or disc. And then the other word that's used in the Eightfold Path is sama. And that's a Pali word. It means right. It's not a moralistic right, but it's more as this is the most helpful or the ideal or the best way to go. So the Noble Eightfold Path in the Pali there, dhamma-vicaya, dhamma-kamanta, dhamma-ajiva, the first 3, right speech, right action, and right livelihood, are all 3 of those represent sila, or ethical behavior, ethical conduct, virtue. Those 3 are in that category. Sama-vayama, sama-sati, and sata-samadhi, right effort, right awareness, or right mindfulness, and right concentration. Those 3 fall into the category of mental development, and these are all very prominent in the way that we work with meditation. Mental development is sama samadhi. That's the category for those three. And then the last two, samadhi and sama sankappa, that is right view and right intention or right thought. A right view is sometimes right understanding.
Can you look at it for tonight? You think I could look at?
Oh, I've read it a couple times,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Sorry.
So those two fall into the final classification, which is wisdom. Wisdom. So we work with those three classifications: ethical conduct, mental development, and wisdom. There are three types of panya, or wisdom. There is suttamaya panya, which is acquired knowledge, the knowledge that is gained by listening to others, knowledge we gain from sitting in these talks or from reading books. There's cintamaya panya, which is intellectual or analytical understanding. So this is the wisdom that we gain from thinking about what we've learned and seeing if that makes sense to us in our own lives. So that's the second type of wisdom. And then the third type of wisdom, bhavanamaya panya, is wisdom based on direct personal experience. And that's the one that we always try and focus on in our practice, because this is the one that gives us the confidence to really continue with the practice. Because if you just always know it as something that someone else says is helpful, but you don't know that yourself, well, you really don't have the confidence to continue to do it on a regular basis and really go through the helpful transformation. So to develop this personal experience type of wisdom, this is the most helpful. So that's why we always do a little bit of theory and practice together. We get the theory, kind of gives us an understanding, something we can work with in the mind and make sense of, and then we practice it, and then we really start to see how this actually works in real life. So practicing sila, the ethical conduct, practicing that one helps us to stop getting in our own way. We often say or do things that cause us and other people to feel bad or upset. When we do this, it is not possible to truly calm the body and the mind. When we continually behave in a way that is unskillful, harmful, and unwholesome, Pali word for that is akusala, we become anxious, upset, and unbalanced. But with a base of sila, we can begin to train the mind. We can begin to develop mastery over the mind. Mental training and discipline is called samadhi. And finally, when we develop mastery over the mind, we begin to develop transformative, transcendent wisdom. And this third type of wisdom, bhavanamaya panya, ultimately leads us to full liberation from stress, from suffering, from worry, from agitation. So now, to make sense of this, I want to kind of let go of the words and the teaching, and I want to do another practice together. So we'll spend about the last 15 minutes here doing one more meditation practice. So you may want to try sitting for this one. You're welcome to lay down if you'd prefer. But once you take a moment to get comfortable, this is one of our Vipassana practices. And to just give you an idea of what we're going to do, so you can kind of have an expectation.
My knee was not been that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, don't...
Had my knee replaced.
Yeah, well, be gentle with yourself. Don't worry about trying to conform to a certain position or posture. Nothing wrong with being in your chairs. And if you feel uncomfortable after we're a couple minutes into it, go ahead and lay down or move. Okay, so what we're going to do is, and that's fine. That's fine.
Doesn't want to go there.
Yeah, and that's okay, because Because if you were forcing yourself to stay in that position, it was really uncomfortable, then that would be the whole meditation would just be about, can I make it for the next 15 minutes? So yeah, it's perfectly fine. And for me, when I started meditating, I couldn't do it the whole time sitting in one posture. You know, I had to work on it over time and it became comfortable. So I think you'll discover it's the same way. So what we're going to do, this is one of our Vipassana practices. Vipassana means insight. And it is insight into the experience of being in the human body that starts to cause us to suffer. So craving, clinging, aversion, we have those experiences just within the physical body in any given moment of time. I heard just a quick side note. I heard a story on NPR. I think it might have been yesterday. Pretty sure it was yesterday. They were talking about some research they're doing into addiction. And some scientists had done some gene modification in mice and found that when they exposed two different mice to cocaine, that mice who had had this modified gene were not addicted to cocaine like the unmodified mice were. And so when they talked about addiction, what they said is addiction is actually addiction to sensation in the body, and we start to crave certain sensations. That was their definition of addiction, which happens to be our definition of what causes suffering. So I think that's really interesting how science is now using that definition to talk about addiction, but both are true. But at any rate, when we do these kinds of practices, we'll actually become aware of the sensations that cause us to feel aversion or to feel attachment or to feel clinging. So we'll just spend a few moments here or a few minutes together doing this practice, okay? So close your eyes. Let your body be balanced. Let it be symmetrical. Let your awareness be with your breath. I'm going to sound the bell and invite you to follow the sound, and then I'll start to guide you through this practice. So following the sound of the bell into silence, we turn our senses inward. We become aware of the feeling of being present in our own bodies in this present moment. You can bring your awareness up to the top part of your head, as we so often do. Take an in-breath at this moment. And then as you release that breath, with the out-breath, let your awareness move down through the body all the way to the base of your spine. And with your next in-breath, move your awareness back up your spine to the top of the head. So just take a couple of moments with your own breath, whatever speed your breath is. With the in-breath, move the awareness from the base of the spine up to the top of the head. And with the out-breath, move the awareness down to the base of the spine. In-breath up, out-breath down. In-breath up, out-breath down. So again, very simple, just moving the awareness up and down the spine. Breathing in, you feel the awareness move up to the scalp. Breathing out, feel the awareness travel down the spine all the way to the tailbone. Breathing in, the awareness moves up. Breathing out, the awareness moves down. And just stay with that rhythm of the breath. Stay with the awareness moving up and down. Whatever the speed of your breath, that's fine. But stay with the rhythm, stay with the movement of the breath. Breathing in, awareness moves up. Breathing out, awareness moves down. And as you continue practicing in this way, you can begin to expand your awareness a little bit as you move through. So as you move up, see if you can become aware of sensations throughout the parts of the body as the awareness moves up. And as the awareness moves down, just see if you can become aware of sensations in the body as awareness moves down. So as I breathe in and I bring awareness up, I'm kind of sweeping through the belly and the chest and the shoulders and the face to the top of the head. And then as I breathe out, I'm kind of sweeping down through the face and shoulders and chest and back and belly, all the way to the base of my spine. So spend a few moments with that, just breathing in, moving the awareness up, and expanding that awareness so you start to feel sensations in the body. And as you breathe out, the awareness moves downward, and you just feel awareness of sensations in the body. Breathing in, awareness moves up. Breathing out, awareness moves down. Breathing up, you're noticing sensations as awareness passes through. Breathing out, you're noticing sensations as awareness passes through. Just stay with that movement of the breath and now the movement of awareness. Breathing in, awareness moves up. Breathing out, awareness moves down. Awareness of sensations moving up, awareness of sensations moving down. So as you're observing these sensations, there's nothing you can hold on to for any length of time. It's just a split second of knowing sensation and releasing it, all the while moving the awareness continuously. Breathing up, breathing in, awareness moves up. Breathing out, awareness moves down. I'll be silent for a moment. Just stay with that movement of awareness and awareness of sensation. Just work with that for a moment. So you're staying with this movement of awareness up and down, letting it flow naturally with the breath. With the in-breath, awareness moves up through the spine, up through the body. With the out-breath, awareness moves down. As you move the awareness, you're not clinging to any sensation. You're just opening up to them and knowing them as the awareness moves through. So whatever those sensations are, tingles, muscle tension, discomfort, fatigue, pleasant sensations of lightness, any sensation, don't hold on to it, just notice it as awareness moves up and down. Not clinging to anything, not pushing anything away, not craving anything, just movement of awareness. Movement up with the breath. Movement down with the breath. Awareness up with the breath. Awareness down with the breath. Awareness of sensations breathing in. Awareness of sensations, breathing out. Just touch the sensations with awareness as you breathe. There's a momentary knowing of sensation, clinging to nothing, holding on to nothing, just observing. Whether sensations are pleasant or unpleasant, there's no clinging or attachment, just movement of awareness. As long as awareness continues to move, there's no reaction to pain or fatigue. There's no clinging to pleasant sensation. Just keep the awareness moving up and down through the body with the flow of the breath. Awareness up, awareness down. Awareness up, awareness down. Momentary knowing of sensation. Just in an instant, awareness of the sensations of the body. Awareness up, awareness down. Movement of awareness, movement of awareness. Stay with this for a few moments. Now, hopefully you were able to feel that a little bit as we were doing that. Just the movement of awareness up and down. Sometimes you can it's helpful to visualize, but just as you breathe in, it's just this movement of the awareness up. And as you move the awareness up, there's going to be different sensations that awareness comes in contact with. So this movement is, it's just a continuous flow up and down. So with awareness moving up and down with the breath, there's nothing that you're able to really focus on for any length of time. It's just this momentary awareness. Sensation in my belly, sensation in my chest, sensation in my neck, sensation in the face, the head. Maybe you move down through the back and you feel the shoulders and the back and the lower back and then the tailbone. So just with this rhythmic breathing, awareness moves up and down, up and down. And you find that if you want to really try and focus on any one sensation, you can't keep moving. You have to stop. So it causes the awareness, the flow of awareness, it causes it to kind of congeal, or it tightens up. So this is just this flow of awareness, instantaneous, just knowing of sensations, not holding on to anything, letting it go. Were you able to kind of do that? Feel the awareness moving a little bit? Just natural up and down, not holding? Yeah. This one is sometimes very helpful if you are particularly stressed out, or if you're worried, because you're moving so quickly. There's no focus on anything. So this practice, this starts to get us aware of just the very impermanent nature of the sensations we have, and that all of our sensations, they're changing constantly, they're impermanent. There's nothing there that we can really attach to. There's nothing there that we can say, this is the way I feel, because everything is different. Every fraction of a second, there's a completely different sensation. So if you're not focusing on any particular one of these, then which one of these is you? You can't really say, I'm the person who's got pain in the body, or I'm the person who's feeling anxious right now. Because in the movement of all these sensations, which one of these is you? which one of these is the permanent, unchanging you? And of course the answer is none of them is. You're this flow of awareness. So this practice, it's one that's helpful if you've done meditation a bit, but this practice can be quite powerful, Vipassana practice. The key, though, again, is not to hold on to anything. Just feel that flow moving. So, any questions on that one? Hopefully makes sense. All right, now, while we're all feeling pretty chilled and pretty peaceful and relaxed, before we leave, close your eyes one more time. Think about times in your life where you have been suffering, whether it's been physical pain or emotional pain. Think of the times in your life where you've suffered and you've just really wanted to feel better and feel happy and be free from suffering. That feeling, that wanting to be well, that feeling that we have in ourselves is the same feeling that all beings have. That desire to be well, that desire to be free from suffering. And so this, in a very real way, connects us to all other beings. And we can get in touch with this feeling of compassion for ourselves and for others. We can really feel it. May all beings be free from suffering and from the causes of suffering. And then from there we can go to may all beings be surrounded by love and kindness. We know that this is our wholesome desire for ourselves. We wish to be surrounded by love and kindness. We wish that for all other beings. And third, may all beings be truly happy and joyful. We have a wholesome desire for joy in our own lives, and we have that wholesome desire that others will be joyful as well. And then the fourth one, may all beings be peaceful and free and equanimous. Equanimity is a state in which nothing is missing, where we are not craving, we're not clinging, we're not attached, we're not feeling aversion. We're just okay in our own bodies, in the present moment. Everything is fine as it is. And so we wish that all beings, may they be equanimous, peaceful, and free. And then for those of you sharing this time and this space with me tonight, I just really want you to feel joy and happiness. May you all experience real joy, real happiness. Namaskar, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next week, we'll spend one more night talking about the Eightfold Path. We'll just get into a little bit of practical application for the different spokes on the wheel, the different parts of the Eightfold Path. And I think you'll find it helpful. So I hope to see you next week.
So do we have like homework assignments in between or anything like that? I mean, is there